NASA gave it 90 days. 90 days to explore Mars, send back some photos, and die. That was the plan. A 3-month mission on a planet that destroys everything we send there. But Opportunity had other ideas. It lasted 15 years, 1,352 days, and in that time, it didn't just survive. It changed everything we know about Mars. This is the story of a robot that refused to quit, a mission that shocked NASA scientists over and over again, and a final goodbye that made the world cry. Welcome back to the Curiosity Beast, where we explore the discoveries that push the boundaries of what's possible. Today, we're following Opportunity's incredible journey, from its miraculous landing to the dust storm that finally silenced it forever. And I promise you, by the end of this video, you'll understand why millions of people mourned when this little rover finally stopped transmitting. Let's go back to the beginning. January 24th, 2004. Opportunity is hurtling toward Mars at thousands of kilometers per hour. It uses a parachute to slow down, fires rockets to brake, and then does something terrifying. It bounces, multiple times, like a ball. And when it finally stops bouncing and the airbags deflate, NASA scientists look at the first images coming back, and they can't believe what they're seeing. Opportunity has landed inside a crater, a tiny 22-meter wide crater called Eagle Crater. And here's the crazy part. NASA wasn't aiming for this crater. They didn't even know it existed. Opportunity landed 25 kilometers away from its intended target. But by pure luck, it bounced right into the middle of a geological gold mine. NASA scientists called it a hole-in-one. The odds of this happening were astronomical, and it was the first sign that this mission was going to be special. As Opportunity emerged from its protective shell and looked around with its panoramic camera, it saw rock outcrops just a few meters away. These rocks held secrets, evidence of Mars' past, evidence of water. You see, Opportunity and its twin rover Spirit had one main job: find out if Mars was ever a place that could support life. And the way to do that was to look for water. Because where there's water, there's potential for life. Opportunity spent the next few weeks analyzing the rocks in Eagle Crater, and what it found was stunning. The rocks showed signs of cross-bedding, layers that weren't parallel. This happens when flowing water or wind creates ripples in sand. But the real smoking gun came on Sol 30. That's Opportunity's 30th Martian day on the surface. It used its rock abrasion tool to drill into the rock face, and inside it found vugs, empty voids where crystals had been eroded away by water. The rock also contained hydroxide ions, chemical proof that water was present when the rock formed. Opportunity had been on Mars for 1 month, and it had already confirmed that water once existed there. Mission accomplished, right? Wrong, because this was just the beginning. After digging a trench in the soil and finding more evidence of water, Opportunity powered out of Eagle Crater and headed for the next target. Endurance Crater, 200 meters wide, much bigger, much deeper. On the way, it passed a tiny crater called Fram, took a photo, kept going. By Sol 84, it reached the edge of Endurance and looked inside. And mission planners faced a tough decision. The crater had layers of exposed rock, valuable scientific data, but getting in was easy. Getting out, that was the problem. The slope was steep. If Opportunity went in, it might never come out. So they did something bold. They decided to send it in anyway, even if it got stuck forever. The science was too important to pass up. On Sol 131, Opportunity carefully edged over the rim. Mission controllers held their breath, and then they reversed it to see if it could climb back out. The angle was 18 degrees, within the safety margin. Barely. Opportunity spent 180 sols inside Endurance Crater. It explored rock layers, avoided sand dunes, saw wispy clouds like Earth's cirrus clouds, and confirmed something incredible. Water didn't just cover this area once. It came and went. Episodic flooding. Mars had a wet past, and it wasn't just one event. It happened over and over. After leaving Endurance, Opportunity headed toward its own heat shield to investigate. And on the way, it found something no one expected: a rock. But not just any rock, a meteorite. This was the first meteorite ever identified on another planet. Heat shield rock, a piece of space debris sitting on Mars. And then came Sol 445, the day everything almost ended. Drop a comment right now. Have you heard of Opportunity before? Did you know it lasted 15 years? Let me know. Opportunity was driving through an area called the etched terrain, sandy, rippled, dangerous, and suddenly all four corner wheels sank deep into a dune, deeper than a wheel radius. Stuck. NASA named it Purgatory Dune. And for nearly 20 Martian days, Opportunity didn't move. Mission controllers were frantically running simulations on Earth, trying to figure out how to save it. This was a disaster. Opportunity had been on Mars for over a year. It had made groundbreaking discoveries, and now it might die stuck in a 30-centimeter sand dune. Finally, on Sol 461, they tried something. Opportunity moved a few centimeters, took a photo, sent it back to Earth. Over the next 20 days, it inched forward, centimeter by centimeter, until finally, on Sol 483, all six wheels were on solid ground. Opportunity had escaped, but NASA learned a valuable lesson. They upgraded the rover's software to detect wheel slippage and stop automatically. This upgrade would save Opportunity multiple times in the years to come, and it needed saving, because the challenges kept coming. As Opportunity traveled toward Erebus crater, it hit another problem. Its robotic arm started getting stuck, a broken wire. The motor still worked if they gave it more power, but mission planners made a tough call. They decided to leave the arm extended while traveling, a hover stow position. Better to have it stuck out where it could still be used than to stow it away and risk never being able to deploy it again. Then another problem. A heater on the arm wouldn't turn off, and with Martian winter approaching, there wasn't enough solar power to keep it running all night. So they disconnected the batteries at night entirely. This created massive temperature swings, from 20 degrees Celsius during the day to minus 75 at night, the kind of swings that destroy sensitive equipment. But Opportunity kept going, and then the motor stalled completely. Engineers applied more current, got it working again, and as a precaution, they left the arm outside the rover at night in case it stalled permanently. You'll notice in the images from this point on, the arm is always visible, a constant reminder that Opportunity was held together by duct tape and hope. But it pressed on, through Erebus crater, through massive ripple sand dunes that don't even exist on Earth, through cobble fields that scientists still don't fully understand. And on Sol 833, it almost got stuck again, this time in a dune called Jammerbugt, a Danish term meaning Bay of Wailing. It took 4 days to escape. If you're still watching, hit that subscribe button, because what Opportunity did next is even more incredible. Nearly 200 Martian days after leaving Erebus, Opportunity arrived at Victoria Crater, and what it saw took everyone's breath away. Victoria is 730 meters wide, the biggest crater Opportunity had visited yet. High ridge walls, steep slopes, beautiful sand dunes in the center, and along the walls exposed bedrock from billions of years ago. This was it. This was what Opportunity had traveled 7 kilometers to see. Ancient rock layers that held the secrets of Mars's past. By this point, Opportunity had lasted more than 10 times longer than its original 90-day mission. It had overcome getting stuck, mechanical failures, dust storms, and temperature extremes. And NASA wasn't done pushing it. They uploaded new software that let Opportunity make its own decisions. It could detect interesting rocks and extend its arm without waiting for commands from Earth. It could identify obstacles and navigate around them autonomously. This was huge, because the latency between Earth and Mars can be up to 40 minutes. Waiting for commands was painfully slow. This new software turned Opportunity into an independent explorer. Opportunity circled Victoria Crater, imaging the cliffs as it went. Scientists used a technique called super-resolution mosaic, taking dozens of photos of the same thing and combining them to create images with resolution beyond what the camera was capable of. The rock layers showed cross-bedding, ancient sand dune deposits from when Mars had a thicker atmosphere, before it lost its magnetic field and the solar winds stripped the atmosphere away. Opportunity also found another meteorite, Santa Catarina. Then mission controllers spotted something even more important, a safe path down into Victoria Crater. On June 28, 2007, Sol 1200, Opportunity prepared to descend, and then everything went wrong. The biggest dust storm anyone had ever seen rolled across Mars. The sun's brightness dropped by 96%. Opportunity's solar panels, which normally produced around 700 watts, were now generating just 128 watts. Not enough to survive. If the batteries drained completely, the electronics would freeze during the Martian night. The motors would be damaged. Opportunity would die. So NASA shut everything down to bare survival mode. Opportunity spoke to Earth only once every 3 days, and everyone waited, hoping the storm would clear before the power ran out. For weeks, Opportunity sat on the rim of Victoria Crater in near total darkness, cold, silent, fighting to stay alive. And then, slowly, the storm began to fade. Sunlight returned, power levels climbed, and against all odds, Opportunity survived. It descended into Victoria Crater and spent months exploring, measuring layers, analyzing rocks, confirming that Mars once had liquid water on its surface for long periods of time. And it didn't stop there. Over the next several years, Opportunity kept going. It traveled toward Endeavour Crater, 22 kilometers wide. The journey took 3 years. Along the way, it survived more dust storms, more mechanical failures, more close calls. It discovered clay minerals that only form in neutral water, the kind of water that could support life. It found gypsum veins, proof that water once flowed through cracks in Martian rock. It captured over 200,000 images, traveled 45 kilometers, and set the record for the longest distance ever driven on another planet. And then came June 2018, a global dust storm, bigger than the one in 2007. This time, the sun disappeared completely. Opportunity's solar panels went dark. On June 10th, it sent its final transmission. Then silence. For months, NASA tried to reach it, sending commands every day, hoping the storm would clear, hoping the panels would recharge, but Opportunity never answered. On February 13th, 2019, NASA officially declared the mission over. After 15 years, after 5,352 Martian days, after changing everything we know about Mars, Opportunity was gone. When the announcement was made, people around the world mourned. Scientists cried. The internet filled with tributes. Because Opportunity wasn't just a robot. It was a symbol of persistence, of resilience, of exceeding every expectation. NASA gave it 90 days. It gave us 15 years. And in that time, it proved that Mars once had water, that it once had environments capable of supporting life, that it was once a world not so different from Earth. And it paved the way for everything that came next: curiosity, perseverance, ingenuity. All of them stand on Opportunity's tracks. So comment "Thank you, Opportunity," if you made it this far. And tell me, what do you think happened to it? Is it still there, buried beneath dust? Could it ever wake up again? The Curiosity Beast is all about the missions that push the limits of exploration, the discoveries that reshape how we see the universe. If you love stories like this, subscribe, hit the bell, and join our community of curious minds. Because out there on Mars, Opportunity sits silent, but its legacy lives on in every rock we study, every question we ask, and every step we take into the unknown. Thanks for watching. Stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.